The only way that you can find heaven is through a woman. And then he highlighted that. And a lot of these Simp Nation guys say the same thing. Let me tell you why this is wrong.
In 2022, black men are less likely to be involved in the black church. In comparisons to the 50s and 60s, where as a prominent group we were deacons and pastors and trustees, you barely see us going there. You look at most churches, 95% women. Same thing with the pro-black community. Used to see us in the 5% nation a lot, the Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites. Black women were more in number. But black men have also decreased their participation in many different sectors of the pro-black Pan-African communities. But the question is why? Why doesn't the pro-black or Pan-African community reach the modern black man? And I think we have some answers. The first thing I want to do, shout out to my brother Anton Daniels. Check out his channel below in the Lapif Network. He's going to break down why a lot of brothers is, kind of really getting away from, the Nation of Islam talking points and things like that because they're not as masculine. And then I'm going to get to our brother Obsidian Media Network, and he's going to talk about why a lot of black men are not even dealing with pro-black spaces anymore. So let's start off with brother Anton first, and then I'll come back.
This is why I disagree with a lot of these Nation guys, because a lot of them operate from a simp mindset, which is one of the reasons why I had such a problem with Farrakhan saying that if you want to find heaven, then you find it through a woman.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that you can find heaven is through a woman. And then he highlighted that. And a lot of these Simp Nation guys say the same thing. Let me tell you why this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This mindset comes from a place where our world is civilized, which you would then allow for more time to be taken up from the young guy or from the son or whatever, so on and so forth, to be up under the woman beyond a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
A woman's job is to nurture, which is feeding, breastfeeding, and all of that, until the young boy gets to a certain age. It wasn't until a certain time in society in which that boy was able to stay home much longer, because back in the day, once that boy got to a certain age, and it could be 6, 7, 8 years old, he's with his father,
mm-hmm.
working,
mm-hmm.
farming,
mm-hmm.
hunting,
mm-hmm.
killing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until we started to become more civilized that a woman became a teacher. As a matter of fact, if you look into the Bible, it says specifically that women are not to hold leadership positions and to teach, specifically in the church or on the pulpit, and having any kind of leadership position. So my point is that when you start to have these conversations, you're having it from a modern perspective, mm-hmm. in which we civilize the world, in which the man can then go out and do more, in which there's no requirement on the children that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to start looking at history and understanding when young boys was of a certain age, they spent the majority of their time doing the exact same thing to a lesser degree of what the father was doing, which was why men were much stronger in yesteryear, mm-hmm. and then they became simps today.
Let me deal with that. Give a round of applause, right? I want to deal with that because there was a substitute teacher, I believe, in Maryland. I did a story on it, and this particular teacher complained that a lot of young black men were just too feminine and their mothers were raising them. And you've heard this sort of ideology coming from a lot of the brothers in the pro-black community, in the pro-black spaces, and I would consider people in the pro-black spaces, not the Hebrew Israelite brothers, because they kind of go hard, shout out to them, but your Nation of Islams, your Hoteps, your Back to Africa kind of guys, and I like those brothers, right? But there's so much, attention on the women, which I believe the reason why that is because, number one, women tend to give a lot of money. And a lot of the guys are very charismatic. That's number one. But number two, there is no accountability for male leaders in these spaces. So what you see a lot of men doing in these spaces is dealing with the women. You know, there's a lot of sexual promiscuity going on. There's a lot of mishandling of funds. And so because black men are going to be less intolerable to those things, you don't see a message coming towards black men being men a lot. Now, you know, I've heard the Nation of Islam talk about it, but you do see more of the people garnering attention towards the women, especially in the black church. You know, you're gonna get your crown, God gonna deliver you the man, you deserve better than this, and all this other stuff, and then that man never comes. And so that's one thing also that men feel neglected, especially in Christian ministries. Men are feeling neglected, even in the pro-black Pan-African community. You can even look at brothers coming to Africa. It's not as many as single women coming to Africa. All right. But here's another reason why black men are being turned off by pro-black communities. And I'm gonna let Brother Obsidian talk about it regarding Dr. Umar Johnson.
They have no credibility with black men. They have no credibility with black men. Now, you heard what Dr. Umar Johnson just said in his statement. And I actually agree with him, or I agree with part of it. But see, he had to make it a racial thing.
Okay, so with that, he's talking about when he called up Ime Udoka for messing with a quote-unquote snow bunny when he was cheating on his wife, our girlfriend, Nia Long, with the snow bunny. That's what he's referring to.
Snow bunny crisis, really, Doc? As if him cheating with a sister made it better?
Right.
See, that's the problem I have with the pro-blacks. They use racism as a crutch. They use race as a lure. Why couldn't Dr. Umar Johnson just simply say, hey, yo, man, what the brother did was out of pocket and leave it at that? Why do you have to throw in the snow bunny piece? I'll tell you why. Because that panders to what black women want to hear. See, there's this boogie woman. The boogie woman for the black woman, I can't say boogie man because it ain't no man, it's a woman. See, the boogie woman for the black woman is a white woman.
Boom. Let's stop there. And that's one thing that you see pro-blacks doing. He said that masterfully, okay? That what pro-blacks try to do is to use racism to pander to black women's fear. And what is black women afraid of? A white woman stealing their black men. That's why you see pro-blacks talk about that so much. And you guys know me, I'm a hardcore pro-black, right? I'm in this same community, but we don't all think the same. I'm more in the pro-black sector, just as much as I'm in the black manosphere. You can see me going all across Africa. Shout out to Go Black to Africa. I just met up with him, but he's telling the truth. Instead of the pro-blacks dealing with situations, they always use the racism as a crutch to validate black women's fears in order to get them to keep giving money. That's what they do. Not all of them, but almost like 90% of them, they're gonna use this playbook. Out the playbook. Let's go.
And this is especially true if your man is successful.
Right.
Even though the vast majority of successful black men get with black women, see, in black women's minds, the minute a brother becomes successful, he gonna go ahead and get it with a white woman.
Yes.
It's not true. It's not even remotely true.
Yes.
But see, guys like Dr. Umar Johnson, they know that and they play on that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now, where was Dr. Umar Johnson when Derek Jackson was cheating on his wife with black women?
Boom. There we go. There we go. Now, if you're cheating on your wife, it's wrong. Period. Right? No, I'm never been the most faithful brother in my life, but I ain't never been married. And if I damn sure was married, I wouldn't definitely lose my job behind chasing anybody, white, black, orange, or otherwise. But where was Dr. Umar Johnson saying this when Derek Jackson was cheating on his wife with a black woman? Oh, because I get it. That's still, still in the race, but it's still wrong. We make it more wrong because she's white, but the whole Nia Long would have still been hurt regardless, white or black, because it was wrong. Let's continue.
Where was he on that?
Yes.
I ain't hear a peep out of Dr. Umar Johnson on that.
Right.
Derrick Jackson was cheating on his wife with other black women in his goddamn wife's bed.
Yes.
Where was Dr. Umar Johnson on that?
Yes. Absolutely.
It makes it better because she black?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, the problem, that's right, my brother, multiple black women at that. That's right. Multiple black women.
Right. At least with Ime was just one. But Derrick Jackson had more than one.
We got more to say about Derrick in a minute.
Right.
We got a lot more to say about him. See, he wants to talk about struggle streamers. He want to talk about YouTubians. He want to go in on the black manosphere. Fair enough. Then you pro-black niggas, y'all have no credibility with black men. And the reason why you have no credibility is what I just said. Now, let me tell you another reason why you ain't got no credibility among black men, Dr. Umar Johnson. You ain't got no credibility with black men because, number one, you're unfocused.
Yep.
Let me tell you brothers about yourself today. See, you pro-black brothers and you the prince of them all, the prince of Pan-Africanism. I'll tell you the prince of Pan-Africanism. Get up, prince of Pan-Africanism. Don't trip over a rock now. Get up. See, you don't have no focus. See, if you was focused, your school would be up and running and you would be turning out black men the way we do at the Black Manosphere Meetup. If
Boom.
you was...
Shout out to the Black Manosphere Meetup, but I'm going to leave it right there. Unfocused. Let me just say this, right? Black people in general, we tend, and that's, shout out to the African brothers, but the black community as a whole, the black world as a whole, we tend to want to talk more than what we actually do. All right? Like I got a saying I made up. Your mouth can say anything, but your work says everything. And Dr. Umar Johnson, he talks a lot, but his actions don't back up what he's talking about. And it's not just him. It tends to be pro-blacks in general. They spend a lot of time knowing the charismatic things to say. They receive money, they receive donations, but they don't get anything done. And the few brothers that I have noticed that get things accomplished in the pro-black communities don't ever get support. You got to be real charismatic or something like that. They talk about racism. They talk about white supremacy. They talk about many different facets of what's going on with racism. And I agree, those things exist. But men are going to want to know what kind of work you're doing, bro. And that's why they don't cater to men. Because if you asking men for something, you got to be accountable for it. You see? And that's what doesn't happen when you have women, because all you gotta do is make them, not saying all of them, because women will also call you out, but how they feel about what you're saying. That's why you get so much catering. And with a lot of black men, when we come to find out that there's no building, and that's what Dr. Umar had a lot of support from black men in 2015, including me and Brother Obsidian. But once we found out that Dr. Umar didn't have the skill to be able to finish what he was talking about, and we're in 2022 still waiting on that school, then we can understand that what he says and what he does are two different things. That's the big difference. No hate on Dr. Umar. I'm a fan of him. I like Dr. Umar. But in general, that's what happens in the pro-black communities. A lot of calling out people and nothing else going on. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson. Check out Brother Anton on the Peep Network and Brother Obsidian Media Network. I'll try to leave their comments pinned to the first comment at the top. We're out.